That's the right thing to do. If I were him, I'd go further. Period. Done.
Well,
take them away.
This has reportedly enraged heir to the throne.
Harry's throwing a royal tantrum after King Charles officially stripped Archie and Lilibet of every last title and privilege. And yep, it's all thanks to Harry's latest whining on the BBC. He called it a plea for peace, but somehow managed to suggest his dad's too sick to run the monarchy. Well, guess what? Charles just flexed his king muscles harder than ever.
I would love reconciliation.
A few weeks ago, the royal family held a highly confidential summit at Windsor Castle, and while the public assumed it might be a step toward healing, what actually happened was the complete opposite.
As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has.
Prince Harry had just appeared on BBC, delivering an emotional interview where he expressed a desire to reconcile with his father, King Charles, and admitted that he didn't know how much time his father had left.
They struck an agreement with the late Queen to walk away. And as part of that agreement, they said they would keep their HRH and their technically styles.
It was a carefully crafted public message, one that seemed to come from a place of sincerity, perhaps even desperation. Many observers believed this might soften Charles, or at the very least open the door to a private conversation. But the reality that met Harry inside Windsor Castle was not reconciliation. It was rejection.
This week, as you said,
King Charles did not speak a word throughout the entire gathering. Insiders said he handed the responsibility of delivering the main message to his sister, Princess Anne, the royal family's most trusted enforcer when diplomacy needs to be replaced with discipline. The key announcement was stark. Archie and Lilibet, Harry's two children, would no longer be acknowledged as His Royal Highness or Her Royal Highness. Not now, and not at any point in the future.
Strip their behinds of the title once and for all.
The decision, officially communicated and confirmed behind palace doors, effectively erased their formal connection to royal identity. This wasn't symbolic. These titles represent not just status, but access to protection, to protocol, and to future roles within the monarchy. Now all of it is gone.
I find it way cringier and just very, very petty that Prince William is reportedly just waiting to take the throne and be king so that he could strip her of her title.
Observers say that Harry was visibly distressed. He had no support in the room. Meghan Markle, notably, chose not to attend the meeting. Sources later confirmed it was not due to scheduling conflicts or health reasons. She simply declined to be there. That left Harry alone in front of the people he once considered family, receiving a decision that not only impacts him, but potentially changes the trajectory of his children's entire lives. And there were no counter-offers, no softened language, no room for appeal.
There's no point in continuing to fight anymore.
What makes this even more significant is the timing. It comes shortly after Harry's public interview where he implied that his father's illness had changed his perspective. The emotional appeal wasn't subtle. It was meant to spark sympathy. He said life is short, that he would like to make peace, and that he hoped for reconciliation. But within the walls of Windsor, the royal family responded not with emotion, but with finality.
The Queen did not want Camilla to be called the Queen. The Queen wanted Camilla to be called...
The real gravity of the meeting was not just the removal of titles, it was what it represented, the end of all illusions. For years, Harry and Meghan walked a blurry line between royal insiders and independent public figures. They stepped down from official duties but kept using royal branding in documentaries, press releases and lawsuits. This summit effectively shut that door forever. The Crown is no longer tolerating part-time loyalty paired with full-time media monetization. Back in 2020, Harry and Meghan made the historic decision to step down as senior working royals.
Harry stepped away from their royal roles in 2020.
At the time, the agreement was clear. They would relinquish their formal roles, cease to represent the monarchy, and live as private citizens. However, what followed was anything but private. Instead of disappearing quietly, they launched one of the most public and highly branded campaigns in modern royal history, built largely on their royal identity. From day one, the couple walked a tightrope between claiming independence and clinging to titles that carried global weight.
Queen Consort.
Which
King
is very
Charles.
iffy.
Yes,
Doesn't that sound
but her
like
husband became king and changed all that.
Changed it.
Okay,
Right, he's going to do the same
So
thing.
if she can be the Queen, Meghan can be HRE.
The contradiction became clearer with every new media deal. Despite their departure, Harry and Meghan continued to refer to themselves as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex across Netflix, Spotify, and nearly every public-facing platform they touched. From podcast intros to press releases, the royal branding was front and centre.
find it way cringier and just very, very petty that Prince William is reportedly just waiting to take the throne and be king so that he could strip her of her title. Like, you only live once, make up with your brother and his wife.
You made homemade strawberry jam. It's kind of like a doctor when you keep referring to them as doctor and like, call me Susan.
Their charity, Archewell, leaned heavily into their former titles. Meghan even published a children's book as Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, making sure no one missed the message. They may be out of the palace, but they weren't done profiting from its gold-lettered doors.
Aired it pub.
Then came the media onslaught. The Oprah Winfrey interview in 2021 wasn't just headline-grabbing, it was explosive. For over an hour, Harry and Meghan aired grievances that included accusations of racism, emotional neglect, and palace betrayal.
He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
And that nudity?
That might have something to do with it.
It was the first time a senior royal had ever spoken so openly and so critically about the inner workings of the firm. And the damage didn't end there. A Netflix docuseries followed in 2022, featuring 6 episodes that functioned less like a love story and more like a public indictment of the monarchy's coldness, media manipulation and alleged abandonment of the Sussexes.
That interview sparked widespread backlash, with a new poll revealing a majority of Brits want to see Harry stripped of his HRH.
The final blow came with the release of Harry's memoir, Spare, in early 2023. In it, he described everything from personal family spats to frostbitten body parts, turning palace drama into best-selling content. The book laid bare private conversations with Charles, Camilla and William, and even included criticism of Queen Elizabeth's judgment. At that point, even sympathetic observers began to question the motive. Was this still about truth, or was it just about traction?
Good morning to you. Well, certainly, yes, Harry and Meghan's detractors have been calling for them to be stripped of their HRH since they left the royal family over 5 years ago.
The royal family, ever careful not to engage publicly, finally made its position clear, not with a press conference, but through action. Use of royal titles by non-working royals is now considered unauthorised, unauthentic, and officially unacceptable. It was a quiet but firm message, either you're in or you're out. No middle ground, no royal by branding, and no more half-truths hiding behind royal crests.
People are starting to lose patience and certainly lose interest in his many, many court battles.
This wasn't just about branding, it was about boundaries. For years, the monarchy has tolerated soft rebellion, but Harry and Meghan took it several steps further. They didn't just leave, they weaponised what they left behind. Every public appearance, every media project, every commercial venture was dressed in royal language, even as they accused the institution of emotional harm and structural racism. The contradiction wasn't subtle, and neither was the backlash.
Sort of reached breaking point when it comes to the Sussexes' woe is me narrative.
Over the past few months, the tone in Britain has shifted from quiet sympathy to open mockery, and the turning point wasn't a press release, it was a doorbell. Prince Harry, during a recent visit to London, was captured on CCTV knocking on the wrong door of a private estate.
Prince has been caught on camera knocking on wrong doors as he searched for a mate's house in London.
He appeared confused, unsettled and visibly shaken, unaware that the footage would soon circulate across UK social media like wildfire. What might have been an innocent mistake turned into a viral symbol of his post-royal spiral, one clip, one knock, and suddenly the former prince was being laughed at by the very public he once represented.
Quite fascinating, I'd say.
They are. Prince Harry was in London arguing that he needed police protection, a request that was denied, but maybe he doesn't need protection so much as a navigator.
It's not just the tabloids fueling this narrative, it's everyday citizens. Online forums, talk shows and pub chatter across the country now refer to Harry with a tone of amused distance rather than emotional concern. Headlines are no longer about whether Harry deserves sympathy, they're about how far he's fallen.
Before he finally found the right door, and people captured his image on their ring door.
Public sentiment in the UK has turned cold, with many now seeing him less as a betrayed son and more as a man trying to have his royal cake and eat it too. The CCTV moment simply gave the public an easy metaphor. A man locked out not just from a home, but from a legacy.
Going round, doorbell to doorbell, but let's bear in mind this is also the same Prince Harry who claims that Al-Qaeda.
But the real gut punch didn't come from the streets of London, it came from the palace. On May 6th, Harry's son, Archie, celebrated his birthday. In previous years, despite ongoing tension, the royal family still posted minimal greetings, a throwback photo, a polite message, a cake emoji at best.
Who said that he needs security every time he goes back to the UK because he's scared for his life. But doorbell to doorbell, going like about the average man.
This year, nothing. No statement from Buckingham Palace, no mention from King Charles, no photo repost from Prince William. Even the official royal social media accounts maintained complete silence. The blackout wasn't accidental, it was deliberate, it was cold, and it was public.
Here's the big takeaway from this, right? This is the big thing. Prince Harry is looking for his mate, right? His mate has moved house and not told Harry where he's moved to.
Contrasted that with how the palace treated other royals, even those with minimal public profiles. Princess Eugenie's son, August, received a public nod on his birthday. So did Lady Louise Windsor, whose royal relevance barely crosses headlines. The message was crystal clear. Archie and Lilibet are not part of the firm, not in name, not in post, not even in emoji. To the public, that decision landed hard. Many saw it as the final confirmation that Harry's children have been formally and symbolically cut off.
In a new interview with the BBC, Prince Harry opened up about the legal security challenges that are preventing him from reconciling with his estranged dad, King Charles.
Media outlets that once treaded lightly around Harry and Meghan now do so with open cynicism. Broadcasters openly joke about Harry's missteps. Columnists describe Meghan's silence not as strategic, but as detached. And social media? It's a battlefield. Memes mocking Harry's wandering prince, moment trend, alongside commentary from political figures subtly praising the palace for restoring dignity. What's changed is the moral framing. Harry is no longer the underdog fighting a cold institution. He's the architect of his own decline.
Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things.
And let's not forget the irony. Harry and Meghan originally stepped away from royal duties for privacy, claiming they wanted a quieter life. Since then, they've signed global media deals, appeared on Oprah, produced multi-episode documentaries, published a tell-all memoir, and delivered keynote speeches on global platforms. The British public sees through it. This wasn't privacy, it was repositioning. And now that the repositioning isn't working, the fallback narrative of reconciliation feels forced, even manipulative.
He was denied security protection, the type of security protection someone born into the royal family requires.
What's perhaps most painful for Harry is that the UK doesn't hate him. They're simply done with him. There's no appetite for a comeback tour, no headlines begging for a second chance. Even those who once championed his departure now admit the Sussexes misplayed their cards. The monarchy, for all its flaws, has managed to preserve its brand. Harry, on the other hand, has turned this into a soap opera. And the audience, they've switched the channel.
What that kind of thing is, there's a lot of exposure, not only for him, but for the Duchess, Meghan, his wife, and his 2 children.
Despite the overwhelming shift in public opinion, Harry and Meghan continue to position themselves as victims of both palace cruelty and public misunderstanding. The irony, of course, is that the more they beg for sympathy, the less they seem to receive.
Is it a bad look for Meghan to still refer to herself as a royal?
No.
There's something deeply contradictory about asking to be seen as just like everyone else, while simultaneously marketing yourself with royal titles, multi-million-dollar deals, and Hollywood mansion backdrops. The British public, and increasingly the global one, no longer buys into the narrative of underdogs fighting the system. What they see is 2 individuals who walked out of the palace only to build a new throne on a media platform.
Decided that he didn't want the official duties.
Even American culture, once seen as more favourable toward the Sussexes, has started turning them into punchlines.
Totally, like, you should write a book because your family, like, stupid, and then so are, like, journalists? So you hate journalists? That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist. We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard.
South Park, never one to spare feelings, aired a brutal parody of the couple's public antics, mocking their never-ending worldwide privacy tour and exaggerated claims of victimhood. It was biting, yes, but it also echoed what many quietly think. How much privacy do you need if you're on every screen, stage and podcast? That kind of public roasting doesn't happen unless the tide has truly turned.
How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy. And you know what else? To hell with Canada. We are leaving. We'll go find some quiet place.
On the other side of the media aisle, conservative commentator Megyn Kelly has made the Sussex saga a regular fixture of her programming. Day after day, she points out the contradictions, the performances, and the public manipulation.
And they then proceed to take a jet around the United States and around the world, actually, looking for privacy on what they call their worldwide privacy tour, complete with song.
Meghan, in particular, has become a recurring example in Kelly's critiques of Hollywood elitism disguised as vulnerability. According to Kelly, Meghan's carefully curated vulnerability is less about healing and more about headlines.
Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines? What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy.
Adding to this, Meghan's latest podcast appearance didn't help their case. In it, she painted yet another grim portrait of her upbringing, her struggles, and her misunderstood life. And while personal stories matter, there's a growing fatigue with her endless retellings, especially when they're framed against the backdrop of luxury estates and stylized PR shoots. To many, it feels less like sharing and more like staging. The result? Instead of gaining empathy, she's fueling more eye rolls. Now, what do you think? Is the public finally seeing through the illusion, or do Harry and Meghan still deserve sympathy? Let us know in the comments below.